What's going on, everybody? I am Jeffrey Nganga, and we are here to talk about the fantasy focus today. All right, now, fantasy football is such a wonderful thing to do. It's a wonderful thing to participate in. I have been participating in it for about 5 years now. I've had some winning seasons and some losing seasons. You know, it just depends on what kind of luck you've having, or depends on what kind of players you've got on your team. Now, fantasy football, they have a draft just like the NFL. You get a group of people together, you pick what day you want to have your draft, and everyone drafts players as they see fit. Once you draft your players, then you wait a little while. Then once the regular season starts with the NFL, that's when you start to plug in your players every week to figure out the best place for them to be. Now, you have your star players, of course, like Tom Brady, Todd Gurley, Odell Beckham Jr., Antonio Brown, just to name a few, that you automatically put in your starting lineup. But then also you have a couple players on your bench, such as Carlos Hyde and Ito Smith and Taylor Gabriel, that you may be able to plug into play when some of your starters have bye weeks. And bye weeks are basically the week of the NFL team where they don't play. Now, fantasy football, it can be very tedious, such as you have to pay attention to when players get hurt and when they get traded, when sometimes players retire, things like that. You also have to pay attention to how good a team is playing at the moment, how good a defense is playing, what team they're playing against, their schedules, things like that. Fantasy football, it can be very lucrative, and I mean lucrative. I have 2 leagues that I play in right now. I've got the NFL league, of course, and I've got my ESPN league. My ESPN league I'm just doing for fun, but my NFL league I'm doing for money. Last year I placed second in my NFL league, and I won $200 cash. And this year I'm doing pretty good in my NFL league. I say I'm undefeated. That means I got a lot of wins, and I got 0 loss. But hey, sometimes you're not so lucky, because in my ESPN league, I'm 3-6. So not so good, but I got a little wiggle room. I'm third to last in that league. But now, fantasy football is a way of life for some people. Some people have 10 to 12 different leagues. I don't know how in the HE double hockey stick that they have those many leagues and keep up with them, because I can barely keep up with 2. But hey, it can be very time consuming, because you have to realize that at any given time, there are 3 games a week on Monday, or 3 different days that NFL teams play. You got Monday night football, you got Thursday night football, then you have all the games that come on Sunday. You have to keep up with injury reports. You have to keep up with when to play players, when to take them out, when to when to realize that you have to trade a player, when to see suspensions, injury, there's a lot that goes into it. It's one of those things that the first year you start, most likely your team's going to be bad, because you just don't know what you're doing. I went through that phase a while back, and I think I won 1 game the whole year, and that was maybe by like 0.2, because, I sucked. A lot better now, but, it takes a while, and it also, it can make your brain work a lot, because you have to keep up with so much stuff at so many different altercations and so many different venues. Now, the setup for fantasy football, most of the time, you have your 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a flex, which means you can either put in a running back, a wide receiver, sometimes even a tight end, and then you have your tight end position. You also have your place kicker, and you have your defense. Now, you have, most of the time, you got a couple players on the bench. Most of the time, it's 6 spots on the bench. And that's when you can plug in and play these players when your starters that you have out on the team aren't playing that week, or maybe they're hurt, or maybe they're just projected to have not that many points, because the ESPN and the NFL app, they both project you how many points that they think that the player is going to have for that game. Of course, those points are not set in stone, and they can either go higher or lower depending on what happens in the game. Fantasy football is probably the ultimate variable when it comes to playing anything, because you just never know what you're gonna get. I definitely urge anybody out there that have never played fantasy football to play fantasy football. All right, this has been Fantasy Focus with Jeffrey and Nganga.